I left off where I'm now in Happy Grove. I'm 7 years old now, and there's no more talk about my dad, but I remember quite clearly that the movie The Harder They Come was showing in Jamaica, and my grandmother said, "Your dad is in a movie." Your dad is in a movie and you have to, we have to go see his movie. And it's showing right down the street at the school. They had a projector that they had at the school in the schoolyard. And all the people were standing in the schoolyard. I think it was called Happy Grove All Age. And I remember quite well that my grandmother said we are going to see the show, and she took me down the road to the school that we could walk. Like I said, I could see the school and the church from the yard because we lived all the way up on the hill. Yeah, she got a bigger house this time. This time she had a 2-bedroom living room, kitchen. The kitchen was inside this time. We still had our bathroom outside, but I had a room for myself now, and she had our room, because back then we used to share a room at the local house. So this time she had a bigger house in Happy Grove, and we had a nice big old veranda, and we were right up on the hill. Our toilet was still outside, but our kitchen was inside. We could cook inside. This house, we could cook inside. And this yard was very fruitful, and I was very happy. I had guava, I had pear, I had ackee, coconut, and there was some papaya that was growing up in the back of the yard. And we scope out all of that. There was a little bush of cane, and we scoped that out because I said, if my grandmother gone, there's food in this yard for me to eat. I don't have to hunt. I don't have to go too far to hunt. I could hunt right here in this yard. There's a lot, and this is a big old yard. The drive was a long drive up on the hill, because the house, as I said, was up on the hill. And all the way down on the lower was lots of guava in the yard, and woolly papaya tree, and let me say some cane, some avocado, some papaya in the back there, and they had coconut tree as well. And the neighbor, that's, when we say neighbor, you know, in those country bushes, it's a nice, it's not too far of a walk. I would call it like a block, not a half a block away from each other. And so he had the coolie plum tree in the yard. I know say somebody close, which I can go to for them yard. I don't want to stay by myself anymore. But I love the idea that I have a room and the kitchen is inside. And that evening she's like, yes, we're going to see your dad's show. Your dad is in a movie. And I was like, okay. I still haven't met him yet. But he had his show, and we went to watch The Harder They Come. And I remember when the sex scene part came, she said, cover up your eye because you can't see this part, so don't watch that part. But every other part I was watching, except the sex scene. And I was smiling, that I was like, look at my father in a movie. And I was like, I could remember I was trying to like figure out if my acting part came from him, because I would always be trying to act out things, you know, like my life is a movie. Because, like I said, I used to narrate that myself, that I was Sheen of the jungle and I have to fend for myself. I used to watch a lot of Bruce Lee, and so I used to be playing karate. Oh, I haven't got to that part yet, but I have stories with my karate, that I used to have to do my karate to defend myself. And yes, by this time, I used to be training in the yard, Bruce Lee now, because I have this big old yard and I'm running down the hill, acting like the Chinese are run off of me. I run down the hill and karate here and karate there, and me I climb trees same way, and yeah. I had a wild, carefree life, no school, just fending for myself. Majority of the time, because my grandmother still wasn't there, even though now we have a bigger house, she still wasn't there majority of the time. My uncle came and visit when we were up by that house as well, but not for long. So I was still on my own. But like I said, I remember the movie quite well, and my grandmother was like saying to them, "This is his daughter right here. My granddaughter is Jimmy Cliff's daughter." And as I said, I didn't really understand how famous my dad was. I really didn't understand that. I just know that I seen him and I was told that's my dad. And I know he's on the TV. I'm watching him on the TV. And I was like, well, in my mind, it was a TV, but it was a big projector that they had in the schoolyard for everyone to watch the movie The Harder They Come. And if his music was playing on the radio, my grandmother would say, "That's your father singing. That's your father singing." And I was like thinking to myself, maybe that's where I got my singing abilities from. Because even though my mother sings, she didn't sing that much. But my dad is known everywhere to be a singer, and now he's in the movies. So I'm like, wow, I'm just here, just watching my father flourish, and I was telling myself, I can't wait to meet my dad. I can't wait to meet my dad. And I was planning on telling him about my song that I wrote, Water Crisis, and all the other little things that I was writing, all my poems that I was writing, because that was another thing I never mentioned. Most of the time, I would be writing my little poems, you know, or when I was Sheen of the jungle, I would be singing in the trees and climbing trees and sitting in the treetop and singing out my belly, you know, and that is how I had find comfort, you know, and that's what helped me along. My writing, I had exercises, a book called ParT books with poems that I write and songs that I was writing, and that's where I found my peace. It was therapy for me to just write, because I was expressing my thoughts and putting them on paper, you know, and that's how I got through most of whatever I was going through. And to be honest, I didn't even thought I was suffering. I just knew that I missed my grandmother to be around, because when she was around, she was fun. I just hated that she always left me on my own, and things would happen to me that I felt shouldn't happen to me, like people trying to scare me or shipping me and making me chop out my eye. I'm going for days without food and I have to fend for myself, and you know, just being left up on my own. Anything could have happened, and praise the Most High that they kept me safe. My angels kept me safe, you know. I'm moving to become 8 years old, and my mother met this gentleman. Holmes is the last name, and while we were up there in Happy Grove, my mother came and visit, and she said she was no longer with her baby dad, and you know, she is going to be coming up by the house in Happy Grove to come stay. So I was like, okay, my mother is coming to live with us. But I want to rewind back to 6.5. Well, I just turned 7, because I just turned 7 years old. So I was already 7 before we moved from Stone Age to go to Happy Grove. My 3-month-old baby sister, my mother sent her with my grandmother. So my grandmother, when she came one of the time, she came with my baby sister. Now this is my mother's 4th child since I've moved with her. So now she's at 5 because I'm the first. My other sister, she lived with her grandmother, but when I had met her, she had my baby sister and was pregnant. But I have